We're live now.
Cool. Right. And sound.
Hello. So, Viv, you've been in Sindaw for about 5 years or more, right? How would you describe your experience with people who aren't familiar with it and how it's been so far?
Yeah, so I started out with dancing back in college, which was not that long ago. Um, and we performed for some of our school cultural performances, and it was really nice learning about some of the more indigenous and traditional dances compared to maybe the more modern or pop dances that we see from Asia. And it was just really nice to connect with the school body who didn't really know too much about it. And then now that I've graduated, it's been really nice connecting with the public who doesn't really know about the Philippines too much, or more or less even the indigenous culture of the Philippines. And I think it's been a great way to teach other people about this without having it textbook style, being able to perform in front of them, have them ask questions about why we do certain movements or why we even dress a certain way. That's really been nice about being a part of Kinding Sindaw, even after I graduated. And I think, Jerome, you joined a little bit more recently, though, right?
Yes, so it actually started with I heard about Kayako, which is a small nonprofit org based in New York City, run by Filipino folks, looking at healthcare. And they were doing a collaboration with KS on heart health. And I tried to get to the workshop, but it turns out I was really running on Filipino time and I missed it. But that's when I got to meet Pochi over the phone. And then she invited me and one of my friends to join anyway, even though we missed the workshop. And my first performance was in QDF, or Queensboro Dance Festival, over in summer of 2019. And then I stayed on and continued attending workshops and classes to do my first production with y'all, which was Bananabem back in March 2020, right as COVID had just hit us. And I've stayed on. Clearly, I'm right here, right? And I joined on as a co-host for this web series. I've also started teaching some of the dances. I actually taught one of our dances earlier today. So folks, be on the lookout for that. We'll talk about it later. And I love again how I'm learning so much more about the Philippines, particularly indigenous folks and the Mindanao region, because it's not a place that I didn't learn about as a kid. It's not something that I really covered in school either, let alone even in regular school where we barely talked about the Philippines except for like a small paragraph in a textbook. So this has been a very immersive experience for me. And with COVID and everything that's happening right now, of course we can't do things in person. But what I love is that we've transitioned really well to virtual platforms. And that's how we've been able to stay strong this entire time. And honestly, I don't think anything can stop us at this point. We're practically invincible.
Right. Yeah. Even though we're in the midst of a pandemic still, we still have our weekend classes, which Jerome was mentioning that he taught this morning, or this earlier this afternoon. And then in addition to that, this is our bi-weekly web series, Rinayung. And then once in a while, we do partner with community organization like Apacha, Community Health Center, and NAFCON. I think we also have a Queensboro Dance Festival happening quite soon. So we'll definitely send more information to folks when all that is happening.
All right, so what are y'all waiting for? I want you to click that like button, turn on your notifications with the bell, and join us as we keep these traditions alive and well. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight, whether you're here on Zoom with us or on Facebook Live, no matter where you're coming from, whether you're in the US, on the East Coast, the West Coast, or from the Philippines, or even South Korea. We've got viewers in South Korea as well. Let's move on to the next slide, please. So, our series is entitled Rinayung, but for those who are new to this, let's define that real quick. So Rinayung is the magical boat of Bantugan in the Mindanao epic Tarangan, which is being classified as something super valuable by UNESCO. And it travels distance, it can fly, dives into the depths of the ocean, and it can carry many things such as people, magical creatures, as well as different plant life. And this is also a symbol of diaspora, which would represent us, the co-hosts of this web series, as well as our membership in Kindling Sindaw. We are all members of diaspora. And it's on us. It's up to us to really continuously spread culture and preserve it and teach things the right and accurate way so that these things don't get lost in translation. So that way we can keep these things going, because with cultural preservation there's also a special aspect of cultural therapy, which helps us deal with the daily stresses of our lives. It helps us stay rooted in our identities. And next slide, please.
Right. So thank you all for joining. I just want to give those who are in the Zoom a heads up that this event is recorded and live streamed on Condensing Now's Facebook page. So in any point of time you're not comfortable sharing your camera or speaking, feel free to stop your camera. And also, if you have any comments or questions that you would like for any of the co-hosts to speak on your behalf, feel free to leave that on the chat and then we'll do that for you. Also, as a disclaimer, There might be some topics that we speak about throughout the series that might trigger or welcome unwanted feelings. And that's not really in our intent to bring those feelings up. But if any of that does come your way, let any of the co-hosts know. We'll try to address it on our own time and try to work on it so that we don't continue that in the future. A lot of what we're trying to do here is unfortunately bring up uncomfortable topics sometimes to talk about it. But we want to make sure that we are being mindful of everyone's background and speaking on certain topics in a mindful manner. And then also with that being said, if there are any questions, feel free to leave it in the Zoom chat or Facebook comments. We'll bring it back here for everyone to either review or to share. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the guidelines. So thank you for watching us here and also on Facebook Live.
All right, folks, so here's the menu for tonight. Let me introduce myself. I'm Jerome Valoria. I'm one of your lovely co-hosts, along with Miss Vivian Chow and Patty Kilroy. We're also joined by our artistic director and founder, Potri Rangkaman. I can't talk today. Potri Rangkamanis. I need more coffee after this. So we are your moderators for tonight's session. And what is our mission statement? In Kending Sindaw, we exist to preserve, reclaim, and assert our cultural traditions so that way we keep these things alive for generations to come. We also want to give a quick shout out to our funders. We also have land acknowledgement to acknowledge that, we're on stolen land. We also want to, uplift the voices of Indigenous folks both here in the United States as well as back in the Philippines. We have our special guest speaker tonight, Professor Tirmizy A. Abdullah. We'll also have an open Q&A portion for folks to, give us any questions you have for our guest speaker or for us. And then we'll be wrapping things up with upcoming announcements, campaigns, and our closing salutation. All right, so a big maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat para sa inyong suporta. Thank you so much for all your support through this time. Without these folks, we literally would not be able to do any of our work. So first and foremost, we'd like to thank Loida Nicholas Lewis and the Reginald F. Lewis Foundation. They've been some of our biggest supporters since our inception in 1992. Especially to Tita Loida, who is our board advisor and the board of directors in Ginding Sindaw. We would also like to thank La Mama Experimental Theater Club, which is right by NYU on the Lower East Side. We've been resident artists there for a while as well. They've given us a stage to really not just give you all our art, to present our art forms to the community, but also using art as activism, using art as a way to convey messages of social justice and equity. And we all owe it to the late Ellen Stewart, who saw something powerful in Poetry's work and gave us this opportunity to become resident artists. Also would like to thank Lotus Music and Dance. They've been another one of our long-standing community partners who has also helped us get our feet really rooted in the community. They've also introduced us to some of our guest speakers that we had way back when, it seems like, when we had our Land is Life series with other Native Americans or Indigenous folks of the Americas here. And then we also like to thank New York City Council, the Howard Gilman Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, NYFA, or the New York Foundation for the Arts, Dance NYC, and Kidney Care of the Treasure Coast. So again, daghang salamat gyud sa inyong tanan. Thank you so much, everyone, and we hope to receive your continued support so that we can keep giving the community quality programming. Next slide, please.
Great, thank you for that, Jerome. So as mentioned before, we do want to acknowledge the land that we are currently on. At least where Kending Sindaw is on, over here. We're on stolen land in the Lotby area. So first we will have Teresa Bearfox speak on or perform on behalf of the land acknowledgement. She's not here with us today to perform live, but we do have a video with her to share for us.
Yama. It's good to be here with all of you. Gongkyokbokta is my Mohawk name. It means I'm at the back of a crowd of people or at the end of a long line of people. And I'd like to share a song with you all. It's in honor of the women. What I'm saying in the language, which is Ganyak Geha, the Mohawk language, I'm saying that women have good minds, women have good medicine, and women have a lot of strength. And Deodalit Salane is like the generations of the teachings that have been carried on from one generation to the next. So I hope you like this song. Yung kwani kong tiyo, niya yung kwe yung kwanong kwa telio. Ya yung way, yo way, yung kwazat santelaya. Ya yung way, ayo, way we hana yo, way we hana yo, deo dele telane, ne ya kyungwe, yung kwani kong leo. Ya yung kwe yung guano guatelio. Ya yung kwe yo way yung guazat stantelaya. Ya yung kwe ayo way ya. We hana yo, we hana yo, deo dele telane, ne ya kyungwe. Yokoa.
Right. I know Teresa Bear Fox isn't here right now, but we would like to say thank you for having her speak prior in Rinayung series and also allowing us to share her performance for line acknowledgement. Next, we also do have another line acknowledgement for Mindanao back at home from one of our tradition bearers, Unok. So we'll have that played right now.
Karamata bentugeuna atayadeun somono apapaladu koreka sikopa dekara kuring kareka masa legna pepenggu ngangkadeng ko tinduropi sisinganyo ginawa ko deamen. Tapos na. Wow. Hindi ako pinagandaan mo.
Oh, before we do move forward, I did want to have Poetry just explain a little bit about Unok's performance, and then we'll have the speaker.
Assalamualaikum. Well, that is a part. That chant of Onok actually is from Darangin. Darangin is, as we said earlier, that is where the word Rinayung is coming from, the magical boat of Bantugan. So that particular chant is about Paramata Bantugan, and I think Tirmizy can talk more about that. It's not part of his it's not part of his speech, but yes, it's about Paramata Bantugan, and he's about to leave actually, and so there he was being offered by Arkat Alawanan sister to have some mama, which is a betel nut.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. And then I'll just have Jerome take it over to announce the speaker.
Awesome. Thank you, Vivian. So tonight's speaker, we have Professor Tirmizy Abdullah. Abdullah. So Tirmizy Ismail Abdullah is the current Interfaith Cooperation Forum, or ICF, National Coordinator in the Philippines. ICF is an Asian movement for justice and transformation that is interreligious in nature, is regional in scope, focuses on marginalized communities, confronts the roots of violence, and promotes justice in economic, political, and social spheres. He is one of the active resident resource persons and facilitators on Islam and interreligious relations in the workshops and training programs organized by ICF in different parts of South and Southeast Asia, such as Sri Lanka, Indonesia, East Timor, Thailand, and Cambodia. He is also an assistant professor of history in the Department of History in the College of Social Sciences and Humanities at Mindanao State University in Marawi City, Philippines, where he teaches both the undergraduate and graduate levels. In addition, he administers a local Islamic center in his province that seeks to teach and train young Muslim students and youth about the fundamentals of Islam. Moreover, he is actively involved in different civic societies and non-governmental organizations working for interreligious dialogue, social justice, peace building, nonviolence, environmental protection, and human rights. His background as part of an ethnic minority such as Muslim Moro in the southern Philippines and the historical narrative and context of his area, combined with his religious and academic background and his involvement in ICF, inspired and encouraged him to work for interreligious dialogue as a tool for justice, peace, and transformation. He believes that personal transformation is very crucial if one is truly serious in working for interreligious dialogue. Yourself, he believes, is your strong message to the world. Furthermore, he believes that religion is a choice, i.e., every single individual has a choice to use their faith either to promote violence or peace. So without further ado, I would like to present to you all Professor Tirmizy Abdullah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jerome. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Greetings of peace and greetings of peace to all of you. First, I'd like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to meet each other. I'd like to extend also my thanks to the organizer, to Mamputri, to all of you, who are behind in organizing this event. Thank you very much. I would like to, before I formally start with my presentation, I would like to begin with reading of verses, short chapter of the Holy Quran, the glorious Quran. Since this season is this month is month of holy of Ramadan, and it is also considered by the Muslims as the month of the Holy Quran. So I will begin with the reading of the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العظيم صدق الله العظيم. Yes, again, good morning. The verse that the first one that I recited to you is called Surah or chapter Al-Fatiha, which is the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, which means in the name of God, in the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful. Praises and glorifications are due to God alone, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone, we alone, we ask for help and we ask for guidance, and guide us to the straight way, the way of those you have bestowed your grace and mercy. And it was followed by a verse from the Holy Quran, which is about um, the about the month of Ramadan, which means one of the translation is the month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان, which means a guidance for mankind and clear proofs for the guidance and the criterion. That is a verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second surah. Surah means chapter, verse 185 or ayah 185. And it was followed again by another verse in the same chapter, Surah Al-Baqarah, which is Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become pious. So fasting is not only an exclusive tradition of the Muslims, it is also being practiced or shared with other people, now other religious traditions like Christianity, Judaism, and some others. May Allah shower His blessings, His barakah after listening to the Quran. Now, uh, um, the topic was given to me is the glorious Quran and the Muslim Mindanao. Uh, you know, here in Mindanao, uh, usually the month of Holy Ramadan is being spent by the Muslims, by the Bangsamoro. Most of their time, no, most of their time are spent reading the glorious Quran. No, in fact, Muslims in Mindanao, their practice is that at least they can finish reading, reciting the Holy Quran at least once during the holy month of Ramadan. At least one part of the Quran is accomplished or read every single day of Ramadan. Because the divisions of the Quran is it is divided by 30 Jews, or Jews means parts, 30 Jews, which is designed to be finished by a Muslim believer to the entire month reading it. And then Surah chapter, the Quran has more than 100 chapters, 114, and chapters are divided into ayah or verses, and there are a total of more than 6,000 verses of the Holy Quran. Um, Muslim Mindanao. Why I write here Muslim Mindanao? Like what you do, you have what we call land acknowledgement. Here also, why we call it Muslim Mindanao is to acknowledge, no, that in the past, no, in the past, Mindanao was predominantly dominated by Muslims. That is a historical fact, no. Just like the Muslim Spain. When we speak of Muslim Spain, we are not saying that today Spain is predominantly dominated by Muslims, but to acknowledge what happened in the past, that in the past, Spain or Al Andalusia, was part of Darul Islam, like also Muslim Mindanao. There is even a linguistic theory that Mindanao is originally from Arabic. Min is Arabic, which means uh, from Mindanao, no, from Danao, no, from Danao. So that's the reason why I put there Muslim Mindanao. And historically, no, Mindanao was already known, no, prior to La Islas in Filipinas or Philippines. There was already Mindanao, no. Mindanao was already known, was already famous before the name Filipinas was used, was coined. And the evidence of that one is we have the Ortelius map. No, I think many of us are familiar with Ortelius map. It's the 16th century European map. No, where you can see the name Mindanao. Mindanao, no, a derivative of Mindanao, Mindanao. But you cannot see La Islas in Filipinas. No, it was only used during the time of the coming of the Spaniards. First, they called La Islas in Filipinas the island of Leyte and Mindoro. And later on, it was applied to the areas in this archipelago that was colonized, no, that was colonized by the Spaniards. So there was already Mindanao prior to the coming of the Spaniards. Now, just a little bit about the glorious Quran, Ramadan, and the Bangsamoro people. No, Bangsamoro, for the information of everyone, Bangsamoro is a combination of two words, Bangsa and Moro. Bangsa or Banginsa, Banwa, no, Bangsa is a Malay word, it's a Southeast Asian word for people or nation, no. And then we have Moro. Moro is actually the Muslims in the Philippines, no. Yes, it is a historical fact that it was the Spaniards who arrived in 16th century that called the Muslims in the Philippines in the Philippines Moro. It was because they have similarities, or they were akin to the Moriscos, the Muslims in Spain, the Muslims in Spain. So that was the beginning of the use of the word Moro, referring to the Muslims here in the Philippines. Okay, like what I've said, Ramadan, the Bangsamoro people, I am a witness that it is a month, usually spent by the Bangsamoro people reading the Quran. We have this what we call practice called tamat. Tamat is to accomplish, to finish reading it. And you can see now even children, elderly, they are struggling a lot. They are sacrificing a lot. No, they're doing their best to read the entire Holy Quran during the time of Ramadan, reciting it, reciting it. We have this tradition called tartil, tartil, that when you read it, you read it in the best way, like the way I read it, like, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Because we, the Bangsamoro people, we believe that that the just even without understanding it, the recitation of the Holy Quran, it gives tranquility, it gives peace, to the heart, just only listening, even understanding it, because we believe that the Quran, is the direct words of Allah, it's the direct words of God. We call it kalamullah, meaning the way it is being written, the way it was being said by God. That's the way how we look at it. No, not other sacred books that says according to this person, God said like this one. No, that is not the arrangement of the Quran, but the Quran is a direct words from the Quran. If I say شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, in toto, that is the word coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, so we have this a practice that when you try to listen from the Holy Quran, try to imagine that you are directly listening to the companions of the Prophet. And then the next level is imagine, reflect that when you listen to the Quran recitation, it is as if that you're listening to the holy to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Peace and blessings of God be upon him. And then another level, it is as if that you are listening to Archangel Jibril, who revealed the Quran to Muhammad. And then the last level is try to listen to the reading of the Holy Quran. It is as if that you are listening to God Himself, to Allah Himself. So in the month of Ramadan, we usually, try our best, in finishing the Holy Quran. We have a night prayer here, night prayer called Tarawih, and in Tarawih, the Imam, the one who leads the prayer, he divides the Quran in a way that by the time that the Ramadan ends, they finish reading the Holy Quran during the prayer of Tarawih. Another important event that is happening during the month of Ramadan, which is observed by the Muslims in the Philippines, is the observance of the Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. There is no specific as to when the night of power happened during the last 10 days of Ramadan. But according to the tradition of the Prophet, the night of power happens in one of the odd days of the last 10 days of the holy month of Ramadan. Night of power, because there is a lots of blessings, blessings, reward, thawab, goodness, that are in the night of power. And you can see here, in Muslim Mindanao, the last 10 days, Muslims are most of the time they're staying in the masjid, during the night time, wishing, that they will experience the Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, with devotion and spirituality. And also, this is the month that the people, the Muslims here are giving sadaqah, giving charity, giving charity, like nowadays in the Philippines, these community pantries are very famous. No, community pantries are very famous. No, all over the country, and it happened also during Ramadan. And then what we are saying is that this community pantry is not actually new to the tradition of the Muslim Filipinos. No, Muslim Mindanao. No, every Ramadan, we are encouraged to feed poor people, to feed those who are needy. This is the month of giving charity, sadaqah for us Muslim Filipinos. And then it's a perfect timing with these community pantries that is very famous in the country. And then we are now in the season of the holy month of Ramadan. No, Alhamdulillah, people are becoming conscious. No, people are becoming conscious that they have to care, for others. Uh, Also, just to mention another peculiar to the Muslims in the Philippines is that uh, one of the evidences how the Muslims in the Philippines love the Quran is that we give particular and special name, no, to copies of Quran. Okay, which is not happening in other parts of the Muslim world. No, it's the Quran for us has a personality. A very good example is this Quran, the picture that I am showing you, the Quran of Bayang. This Quran of Bayang is now preserved in the National Museum of the Philippines, and it is declared as a national cultural treasure. And it has a name, no? And we call this one Maradika. Maradika means freedom, Merdeka. No, no? So this one, no, of course, all of the Quran around the world are the same, no, the same. But for us, no, some copies of Quran we give a particular name, like this one, the Quran Maradeka, Maradeka, no. This was written, handwritten by a local Muslim scholar called Sayyiduna back in between 17th and 18th century. No, it was actually studied by a Japanese scholar, Kawashima Midori. No, Professor Kawashima Midori. So it has a name. We give name. No, sometimes we say. Sometimes if we challenge a person, no, if you're telling the truth, will you swear to Maradika? No, this Quran became like a basis, no, basis for basis for swearing. No, that's how we respect the Holy Quran. Some other copies of Quran which has name like Dibuludan. There is also a Quran called Dibuludan. No, Dibuludan. We have also a Quran, we call it Stambul. Maybe it's a derivative of Istanbul. We call it Istanbul, no, Stambul. So yeah, we have copies of Quran that has like a personality. We give name. That's how we love. If you give a person or an animal or a pet a name, it means to say you love it. No, you love it so much. Yeah, like we have dogs and we give them names. It's an evidence to how we love it. No, how we love it. The same, with the Quran. We Muslims in the Philippines, we give name to the to copies of the Holy Quran. No, this Quran of Bayang Maradeka. Bayang is one of the areas here in Lanao. No, uh, that during American period in the Philippines there was a big battle that happened there between the local Maranaos and the American soldiers. Actually, commemoration is coming soon, this May 1 and May 2, wherein, according to one author, the fiercest battle fought by the American soldiers, during their stay in the Philippines. No, it was in 1902. No, May 1 to May 2, 1902. And there was this one American soldier who found this Maradeka, and he brought it to the United States of America, and it was returned back here in the Philippines during the time of Ferdinand Marcos, and it is now preserved uh, in the National Museum of the Philippines as undeclared now as a national cultural treasure. Now, Yes, one of the questions that was given to me that I need to answer now in this presentation is what makes what made the Muslims in the Philippines united to fight the colonialism? Number one is uh, Islam, no, Islamic faith uh, gives a collective identity to the Muslims here in the Philippines. You know, Muslims in the Philippines or the Philippines is multi-ethnic, diverse. We have more than 100 ethnic groups, more than 100 ethnic groups. For the Muslims, we have 13 Muslim ethnic groups. We have Maranaos, Magindanaons, Tausug, Yakan, so on and so forth. There are 13. No? And when Islam came, Islam provides a collective identity for the Muslims, no, for the Muslims, and that give birth to what we call Bangsamoro identity, no, which refers to the Muslims here in the Philippines. Now, what is peculiar, unique about the coming of Islam in the Philippines is that there is no single historical record that says that when Islam came, there was a fight, there was a battle. No, no, there is no single evidence that there was a confrontation, military confrontation, there was a battle war that happened when the Muslims no brought Islam to the Philippines. Unlike to the expansion of Islam in the Western Asia, in the Middle East, there were encounters, there were battles. But what is amazing, no, unique when it comes to the coming of Islam in the Philippines is there is no single evidence that there was an encounter. It was a peaceful expansion of Islam. And one of the reasons uh, uh, why it happened that way is that those Muslims who brought Islam here in the Philippines were actually religious teachers, and and also there were Muslim mystics, there were Muslim Sufi, tasawwuf, no, tasawwuf, Sufism is, I think we are familiar. Some of us are familiar with Sufism. It's it's the spiritual side of Islam. Most of them were actually mystic people, no, mystic people. And the evidence of that one is their title is Sufi title, like Sayyid, Sharif, Awliya. These titles are titles reserved only to the Sufi teachers, no. And most of the Sufi teachers were at the same time they were traders, meaning when Islam came, when Muslims came here in this archipelago, they were not coming as a colonial powers, no colonial powers. And when Islam also came in this archipelago, Islam did not abrogate entirely the culture of the people, no, because Islam only provides guidelines, no guidelines, but it did not provide culture. The culture of the people will be for as long as within the guideline, the parameters set by Islam. For as long as you do not associate partners with God, no, your culture, your tradition is accepted. That is why Islam as a spiritual identity, religious identity in this archipelago, in Muslim Mindanao, is not seen as a foreign one, but something that is indigenous. No, it indigenous because it only strengthened no the indigenous practice of the Muslims here in the Philippines. So this is one of the things that make the Islam in this archipelago unique, unique. Another is the Muslims here in the Philippines, they were united with political government that is inspired by Islam, the Sultanate system. We have the Sultanate of Sulu, the Sultanate of Maguindanao, and we have the principalities of Lanao or Ranao. No, these political governments, these sultanates, became cohesive. No, they were strengthened when Islam came. No, when Islam came, like the Sultanate, Sultania. No, it was basically adapted. From the Muslims who arrived here in this archipelago, but its indigenous aspect remain. No, remain. And this sultanate system helped the Muslims in defending their identity as people, no, in defending their land, no, in defending their land against the foreign aggressions, against the foreign colonialism, against the Spanish colonialism that started in 1565. Remember that when the Spaniards came here in 1565, their experience with the Muslim Moors in Spain or Al Andalusia, no, was still fresh. No, 1492 was the fall of Granada. No, Granada was the Muslim kingdom in Spain. 1492. No, fall of Granada. By 1565, they arrived here, and the crusading spirit, no, crusading spirit, the Reconquista spirit, no, of the Spaniards, no, was still fresh in their hearts and their minds. So when they arrived here and they saw Muslims here, they saw people practicing faith the same of their enemies in Spain, the Moors. They realized that this is a continuation of our, no, of our battle against the faith of Mahoma, against the faith of Muhammad. Uh, and there are many evidence of that one. In fact, uh, the first order, one of the earliest order of the first Spanish governor general here, no, to one of his generals, no, in going to Mindanao, no, it was Governor General Francisco de Sande, no, he wrote a letter of instruction commanding his Captain Esteban Rodriguez de Figueroa, stipulated there, you go to Mindanao, get their land, let them acknowledge the Spanish sovereignty, no, burn the places where Mahoma is being worshipped, no, because they were thinking that Muhammad is being worshipped by the Muslims, no, the masjid, burn their Quran, and kill their panditas. Pandita is actually the indigenous term, the indigenous term referring to Muslim scholars. It's like akin to Arabic word ulama, alim, no, alim, no, it's Arabic, but we call it here pandita, no, that's indigenous term which means religious teachers, no. So yes, so this sultanate system, no, inspired by Islam, no, their identity as Muslim, the Bangsamoro helped them, no, to be united, no, to be united and fight this foreign aggression, no, foreign aggression. So yes, just to review, like what I said, the coming of Islam, like what I said, there are many. No, we cannot identify a fixed year as to the coming of Islam. No, but as early as seventh century, there were already Muslim trade colonies in different parts of Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. And it was during the 10th centuries that the number of the Muslims coming was increased, and it was only by the end of the 13th century wherein Islamic influences became more pronounced, and that was also the beginning of the organization of the Muslim political institution or political institution that were inspired by Islam, like the Sultanate of Sulu, Sultanate of Maguindanao, and the Principality of Lanao. Now, when the Spaniards came here, no, in 1565, in 1521, Ferdinand Magellan arrived, no, Ferdinand Magellan arrived, 1521, and now Philippines, no, is celebrating the 500 years coming of the Spaniards or the coming of Christianity, no. But personally, I feel that Islam also should be celebrated because Islam came earlier, maybe already 1,000 years ago, no, 1,000 years ago, no. So if our Christian brothers and sisters, Filipinos here are celebrating the 500 years, no, of the coming of Christianity, the Muslims also should celebrate the coming maybe of Sharif Muhammad Kabungsuan, no, the coming of the Sayyid and Sharif, those Muslim teachers who arrive here. So, but the beginning of Spanish colonialism started in 1565, and it ended in 1898. So from 1565 to 1898, the history of the Muslims, the Moros, and the Spaniards here in the Philippines were all about, mainly all about confrontation, all about wars, wars and conflict, because the Muslims, they wanted to preserve their identity as people. No, they want to preserve their religious identity. They want to defend their homeland. No, the Bangsamoro homeland, Mindanao. No, so if you browse history, it all's about Spanish Moro Wars. No, divided into different stages. No, it's a long narrative. It's a long durée. No, long durée of history. No, of history of war and conflict between the Muslims uh, in the Philippines and the Spaniards. No, there is this famous line from a Moro nationalist in the name of Salah Jubair, which says, if the Filipino is a child of colonialism, the Moro people is an offspring of anti-colonialism. So Filipino is an identity brought by resulted, no, that was the result of those people who were colonized in this archipelago, Spanish colonized, and the Moro were actually an identity of those people who refused, no, who refused to be colonized and preserve their identity and preserve their homeland. Now, do not get me wrong. Of course, all of us are Filipinos today. No, I am a Filipino. But there is a need to acknowledge that in the past, no, in the past, no, our ancestors, no, were not Filipinos. No, because if you call it Filipino, in the past, those who were colonized, no, and the Moro were those Muslim who refused to be colonized. No, so and it is now acknowledged. No, it is now acknowledged. No, we have now the Republic Act 11054 that created, no, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. And one of the gains of this new political institution, political government with this new law is that the government of the Philippines formally acknowledged, no, that aside that we are Filipinos, there is also a group of people here that their history is recognized, that their history is acknowledged, no, that they refuse to be colonized, and they are called the Bangsamoro people. So aside that we are Filipino, aside that I am a Filipino, I am also a Bangsamoro. No, it's a gesture, no, that my history is acknowledged. No, my history is acknowledged. My ancestors are acknowledged. And this is actually the essence of his correcting historical injustice. No, historical injustices. No, and I think the United States of America should do more a lot in correcting these historical injustices done against the Bangsamoro people. Because in our history, no, from 1899 to 1946, the Bangsamoro people became also under the rule of the Americans, No, in fact, according to American record, no, from 1902 to 1920, there were more than 20,000 Moros who were killed by the Americans, here. Like what I've mentioned to you, the Battle of Bayang in 1902. No, Battle of Bayang in 1902 were in thousands of, of Moros were killed by the Americans. How could you fight? Using campilans against the modern weaponries of the Americans. But to the Moros, even though they knew that they could not neutralize the modern weaponries of the Americans using their campilan, they still fight. We have this saying in Maranao language called this Maranao saying, I forget, but it's all about no. Even if it will take my life, no. Even I know that it will take my life, I will not surrender. No, sinasabi ng mga tausug, marayaw pamutiun bukog, rayaw mutiun tikod-tikod. It is better to see the white parts of the bone of a dying Moro than to see his white hill running away from the battle, from running away from the battlefield, no, running away from the battlefield. Uh, uh, so yes, so it was, a period of, conflict, period of conflict, and this was actually the narrative that conditioned our minds, that up until today we are fighting, this mutual feeling of mistrust sometimes between the Muslim Filipinos and the Christian Filipinos. And again, if you want to dig deeper, that is it started during the time of the Spanish Wars, because the Spaniards, they were actually using the Filipinos to fight, to fight the Moros. Example, the Battle of Marawi that happened in 1892. No, the Spanish soldiers were just like around 200, but the Filipinos were like hundreds. No, so the Filipinos, Christian Filipinos, were used by the Spaniards to fight, against their fellow inhabitants of this archipelago. And up until today, in our consciousness, this mutual mistrust, are still there. Are still there. That is why education is very important. Education is very important, like teaching of history. I am a teacher, and I am a advocate, advocate of the promotion of the history, teaching the history of the Muslims in the Philippines to all Filipinos, not to all Filipinos. There should be a law, there should be a strong law in this archipelago that will make teaching of history of the Muslims in the Philippines to all Filipino students mandatory. And maybe for the Filipino American friends, Filipino American friends, how can we support? Yeah, through education program, education program like this one, giving us spaces, giving us opportunities, giving us venues for us to share the narrative of our people. This is very helpful. I'm really congratulating Kinding Sindaw, the volunteers, behind this activity, because this is what we need. We need to tell the whole world of our story, like what Jerome has said a while ago, that he only encountered about the Muslims in the Philippines in 1 to 2 paragraphs in the textbook, or few sentences, but there is no separate chapter about the Muslims in the Philippines, So these are good opportunities, for those Filipinos, Filipino Americans, or Americans who do not know the history of the Muslims in the Philippines, or they even do not know that there are Muslims that are existing in this country. For the Americans to know also what they've done, what their previous governments in the past had done to the Muslims here in the Philippines. This is part of correcting historical injustice. Historical injustice, dealing with the past, reconciliation. There should be admission, that our previous government committed this injustice against this Bangsamoro people, So yeah, we can support through educating, through disseminating the information, the history of the Muslims in the Philippines, in the different parts of the world, not only here in the Philippines, but in the different parts of the world. Now, yes, we have, after the Spaniards, we have the Americans, We have the Americans from 1899 to 1946, 1899 to 1946. And then at the beginning, the Americans, their policies towards the Muslims in the Philippines was friendly, non-interference policy. When they established But when they established their governments for the Moros, the Moro province, the Department of Mindanao and Sulu, the Bureau of Non-Christian Tribes, that was the time that the Americans showed the real interest in staying in the Philippines. No, that they came here, no, with the American imperialism, democratization, no democratization, land titling, with all this, no, they came here and they said, if you want to own your land, you have to title it before the Americans. And at the time, the Muslims in the Philippines, they could not get the idea that in order for you to have this land that you are cultivating, you have to have this piece of paper, and then also they do not have a concept of land ownership, because what they believe, the land is owned by God, and land, we do not own the land, but other way around. It is the land who owns us. Because by the time that we die, we go back to the land. We are 6 feet below the ground. No, it's the land who owns us. Not that we own that land. But when the Americans came, they introduced the land titling. No, land titling, and the Muslims, they could not get that idea. No, the land is sacred. You cannot own that land. No, they removed the powers from the traditional leaders, from the sultans, from the datu, from the datu. No, they introduced new system of reading and writing, new letters, and their traditions were abolished. Their traditions, practice were not considered by the Americans. Let's say, for example, Kirim, we have this system of writing Kirim for the Maranaos, and for the Tausug, we have this Jawi writing. Is inspired by Arabic. It was not acknowledged by the Americans. Instead, they introduced something new, the new letters. So with these new policies by the Americans, no, it was the Muslims in the Philippines, they resisted. They resisted. They continue their resistance. To defend their identity as people, to preserve their land, to preserve their identity, to preserve their heritage. So what was the result? There were many battles that happened. Like what I mentioned to you, the Battle of Bayang, the Battle of Budbagsak. Actually, some of these battles were not actually battles. These were massacres, because children were killed, women were killed, like the battle in the Budbagsak and Budaw in Holo. You can Google that one to the internet. Among those who were killed were not armed. Among those who were killed were children. We're children. Sorry, this narrative is making us really uncomfortable. But what they say, in order for us to initiate action, we have to make the people uncomfortable. Okay. So yes. So there were many battles happen in Lanao. There were many kotas here. Kota is the traditional stone and a stone fort or fort. Fort of the Maranaos. There were many kotas here, and there were many battles that was fought in the different kotas of Lanao, and it was the Moros, the Bangsamoro, of course, they were defeated. Like what I've said, how could you fight using Kampilan against the modern weaponries of the Americans? Yeah, we suffered defeats from the Americans, but at least we never surrendered. We suffered defeats, but we never surrendered. So yes, so the Americans, they started to rule here up until 1946. I have this here. From 1902 to 1913, there were more than 160 violent encounters. Imagine, 1902 to 1913, 160 violent encounters between the Moros and the American soldiers that resulted to more than 20,000 Moro casualties. Most of the bloody encounters took place during Pershing's punitive expedition in Lanao. Captain Blackjack or Captain General Pershing. General Pershing. Imagine that. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge for you, friends from the United States, Filipino American film community. no, to challenge your government, no, to correct these historical injustices. No, it would be nice if there will be if there will be admission from the part of the United States, no, asking forgiveness from the because it didn't happen, no, it didn't happen that the U.S. government asked for an apology for what their previous governments had done to the Bangsamoro people, because that's a very important component of healing and reconciliation, and it has been done by other countries, right? No, or it has been done by the American government to the Native Americans, no, to the Native Americans. How I wish, no, Mamputri, no, there will be moves, no, moves from you and your groups on this issue of historical injustice, or dealing with the past. So yes, imagine that from 1902 to 1913, more than 160 violent encounters between the Moros and the American soldiers that resulted to more than 20,000 Moro casualties. And this information is coming, coming from the archives of the United States. That's why another suggestion to the Filipino American community, if you can collect, if we can get some copies, of the materials in the archives of the United States that have something to do with the Muslims in the Philippines, and reproduce it, ask for permission, reproduce it, and we can bring it here, and we can make it open, available to researchers, researchers, because it's so hard to know for the local researchers to go to the United States and do the research. Why don't we call it all these papers, the Pershing paper, the American papers that have something to do, with the Muslims in the Philippines, and bring it here, and make it available to the researchers, because I believe these archives are very important. There are many good stories, not only history of battle and conflict, but many stories that have something to do with our heritage, no, with our heritage, with our culture, that we can reconstruct or construct out of these materials, out of these reading materials. No, maybe we can have a research center, research collection here in MSU, collect those things and bring it here, bring it here and make it available to the researchers. Actually, it happened before, it happened. It was started, it was started during the, this Mamputri, the Mindanao Research Center, but unfortunately it was burned, and lots of materials coming from the U.S. that have something to do with the Muslims, were all gone because it was intentionally burned, So I hope it will not happen again. So yes, I have this picture of a panulong. Panulong is attached to a turugan. Turugan is the traditional house of the Maranaos. Turugan. Uh, 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 Today, there is only only three existing turugan with panulong here in Lanao. No, and how can you support? How can you be of help? Maybe try to think on how to preserve this remaining turugan that we have. There is one turugan in Nanasi, very old, in Marantao, in Kawayan, another one in Dayawan, three remaining turugans that we have. No, and maybe we can think of something on how to preserve this. No, because this is the grand built heritage of our people. No, the turugan, and we have only surviving only three remaining surviving turugan. No, we should not just sit down and wait for its ultimate dilapidation. No, we have to do something. Maybe some intervention. No, because preservation of built heritage is really expensive. Really expensive. Maybe the PhilAm community, can pressure the cultural agencies of the Philippines, the NCCA, National Commission for Culture and the Arts, the NHCP, maybe there will be a louder voice coming from Phil-Am community. No, encourage these cultural agencies to do something as to the preservation of this built heritage. No, this is the panulong, one of the panulong of the Ganasi Turugan. Burak, we have this version of Burak. You know, Burak in Islamic tradition, Burak is the mystical uh, horse or animal that brought Prophet Muhammad to the heavens when he did the Isra wal Miraj, ascension to the heaven. No, and then the Muslims in the Philippines, this is our version of Burak. We believe that this is the Burak that brought Muhammad to the heaven. And you can see it's indigenous, the design, it's okir, no? Okir. So this is very peculiar to the Muslims here in the Philippines. Because, traditionally, the literalist Muslims, the fundamentalist Muslim, they don't allow, this, like this one picture and these carvings. But, you see our people, they have this, imagination of what the Burak is. No, this Burak is now preserved in the National Museum of the Philippines and soon to be declared as NCT, National Cultural Treasure of the Philippines. We have Sarimanok. I think you are familiar with Sarimanok. No, no, yeah. Pictures the walls of Bayang after the battle. This is the kota that I've told you. Actually, this picture is coming from US. Thanks to the Americans for collecting all these materials and preserve it, because now we can use it. No, Bayang. May 1 and May 2 is the commemoration of the Battle of Bayang. Friends are inviting us to go there, because part of transitional justice, healing with the past, memorialization of history, memorialize it, because it's different when you go to the place, because the place has the ability to perform, to show. It's different that you are in the place that where an event actually happened. There is historical imagination. It's different. So I'm inviting all of you, all of you here, Jerome, Patty, and others. I hope in the future you can have time to visit. All of the listeners here, you can have time to visit. Here in Lanao, here in Mindanao. We can do lakbay aral to all this built heritage. Built heritage, because now we are trying to the local become conscious of the historical areas here, and revive it, preserve it, preserve it. Yeah. So it's the Kota of Bacolod. Bacolod is one of the areas here in Lanao where a battle also that happened between the Americans and the Maranao people. Battle of Bacolod. Sorry for that gory picture. Yeah. So the moral response is basically, I think I already ran out of time. 1921, there was a petition from the Sulu people to the American government, Zamboanga Declaration. They were saying that we are different from we have different history, heritage, and we deserve also to have a separate government. Morris responses, another most known is the Dansalan Declaration. Dansalan Declaration in 1935 and the Dansalan Petition in 1934. It was actually a declaration and a petition addressed to the US Congress. Because by 1946, they will be giving the Philippine independence. So the Moros were asking that should the American people grant Philippine independence, the islands of Mindanao and Sulu should not be included in such independence. Our public land should not be given to other people other than the Moro nation. This is the copy of the Dansalan Petition. Dansalan Petition, the original copy of this one is in US, there, closer to you.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah.
Would you be open to come back for May for the commemoration of the what do you call this?
Battle of Bayang.
Padang Karbala.
Padang Karbala. We call it Padang Karbala, place of Karbala. Karbala is, there is a place in Iraq called Karbala where the famous Battle of Karbala happened. Now, our ancestors, they liken the Battle of Bayang like that of Padang Karbala. Yes, Ma'am Putri, we can talk about it later, inshallah. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
You can talk.
How much? And what I mean here is, in respect of time, we can cut your lecture. Will come from
Yeah,
8
yeah, yeah.
to
Yes,
the
yes.
up to the current. Actually, if you can talk more, or can include BOL.
Yes, actually, I've mentioned already a while ago that now we have RA 11054, no, that create the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, the BARM, and the government in-house is the BTA, Bangsamoro Transition Authority, that's soon to end this
Yeah.
2022. And the clamor here in the ground is asking for extension because 3 years for transition is very short. No, and the one of the advocacies here in the ground is asking the Philippine Congress to pass a law to extend the transition. Now, instead of 2022, extended to 2025. No, because in other parts of the world, the shortest transition was in Nepal, and it took them like 8 to 10 years. No, and the Bangsamoro people is only given 3 years. No, so we should give them more time. No, more time to no to this transition. So yes, one of the gains now in 11054 is the recognition of the Bangsamoro identity. And yes, even though we have this new law, new government, there are still many challenges on the ground. The issue of Marawi rehabilitation up until today, the IDPs like us could not return back home. No, no, Ma'am Putri asked me to wear my gura, the headgear that I was wearing in my picture. I told her, Ma'am Putri, sorry because that gura was burned in ground zero, no, in our place in Padian. I'm sorry. I told her I'm really sorry. No, so I just wear a skull cap similar to the Jewish skull cap. No, and then I'm wearing a malong. This is actually heirloom. This is owned by my great great grandfather Haji Datu Tanggu, who also fought during the American period. No, so this is an heirloom. No, an heirloom. No, from my great great grandfather. So I think that suffice for now. Sorry for taking much of your time. No, I'm really
No,
happy
really
and
not.
proud that there are initiatives like this, giving us spaces, venues, opportunities. If you open my heart is crying. No, out of happiness that there are communities, there are gesture from our friends, brothers, and sisters, Phil-Am community in US doing like this. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, the organizers. So back to you.
We we really need this more and more. In fact, Kinding Sindaw has been attempting a lot through our production. We have shown the Battle of Bayang, and the title is Bombaran. Actually, we have to weave it into the second chapter of the Rangan. That's our technique, so that the audience will not look at it in the political point of view, but also be reminded of the culture that is also just in the oral tradition. And also we have the Mount Budahu massacre, the Parang Sabil. So that is our start, and hopefully those production raise consciousness among our people, and all your dreams actually are the dreams of Kinding Sindaw. Hopefully we will be able to influence more minds to be this is a cultural group, and we know and we believe that through art we're able to raise consciousness of the people, and hopefully we're able to implement all your dreams, because we have been working hard that there will be a policy for that acknowledgement ever since I came to America. In fact, that is my intention. The first act that I did is when I went to the monument, the memorial, and I saw that there's no acknowledgement between Filipino-American War. There's a there's a shrine for Vietnam War, Crimean War, Korean War, but there's no acknowledgement of the Philippine War. And also to be reminded that General Persing was sent to the Philippines because he was the champion in killing the natives here, particularly
Pancho Villa.
Villa, and also General Leonard Woods, who killed Geronimo of the Seminole Indians. So please remember where you stopped, because we're gonna invite you again.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Or also in commemoration of the Padang Karbala, and from that period to maybe to the current, our dream of Kambalingan.
Yeah. Yes.
So we'll give it back to the three wonderful hosts. Take it away, Jerome, Vivian, and Patty.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. Like I said this in the Zoom chat, I think I said it on the Facebook Live, and I was also privately messaging Patty and Vivian. I was like, I wish he was my professor in undergrad, because this is the passion I needed. This is the passion that the program needed. For reasons I will not disclose where I went to undergrad, but this is what we needed in the Philippine Studies program. And I think honestly, having a research collaboration between students in the US as well as at MSU would be amazing. So we have, people from the diaspora helping y'all out to preserve this history and making sure it's told the right way, because it should not be erased and like submerged and just kind of re-edited from the colonizer perspective. So Patty, if you could bring up the PowerPoint one more time. I think we have a couple more.
Currently we have MOU with the MSU, so we can use that to continue our role here in the
maybe also you can have MOU also to the present government, the barn, because what we observe is that now that barn, it's like there is a less priority on heritage and history. No, when we were fighting for barn for this government, the fuel of our struggle was our narrative of our history. And then now that they are in power, they should be reminded. They should be reminded that there should be more efforts from the Bangsamoro government as to the preservation of our history, writing of our correct history, correcting historical injustices, recording the narratives of those massacres. The massacres that I've mentioned during American time, the massacres that happened during martial law. No, during martial law, this should be the narratives of the people should be written, and that's part of again like what I've told you, correcting historical injustices. No,
hopefully Saladjo Bair is Iqbal, and he was the one who authored this book, and I've been clinging to that book as you quoted him. So we will use his book for him to pursue. Yeah, to be reminded. So we'll find ways. We have preliminary talks. So with your presence there, maybe we can follow up and have an MOU so we can be part of that research here in US. And it's for education, it's for culture, and it's for the good of mankind. And take it away.
I know that we are very over time for any questions, but I do want to encourage folks that if you do have any to drop it off in the chat, and then also to maybe email us so that when we have Professor Abdullah back, we can bring it up later on for that discussion. But just some quick announcements. There are links over for supporting typhoon relief, as well as the Love for Marawi campaign and our Save Our Schools network that you can follow up with Kingdom Sindaw's activities, and also a QR code for our Linktree website so that you can get all those resources in one webpage. And just as a reminder that we do have our weekend classes on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also here is a flyer just as an update for our Love for Marawi campaign. And I think that's pretty much it. We will update everyone about our next episode and what we'll be doing in the future. So just make sure to stay posted on our social media pages or our emails so that you're all informed. Now, I do want to ask Potri if she would like to close with salutations to end the night for us.
And first, we'd like to say shukran, alhamdulillah, and Allahu Akbar and Ramadan Karim to you, to your family, and everyone there in Mindanao. Professor Tirmizy Abdullah, we're very proud to have you able to verbalize what you want to fulfill in our dreams, to have to bring back the self-determination of the Moro people and the Lumad in Mindanao, the indigenous people. So we have this generic salutation in honor of our ancestors who created and transmitted this tradition to us. With open hearts, we like to take them in, mind, body, and soul. And with humility, we bow as you use it to empower us as we walk our path. And in Marana, we say, Daw, ay daw, ay daw. And I just want to tell you, Professor Tirmizy, that the background that we have actually is the last show we had last March. It's a story of the Taraktakan sa Uray, the 8th chapter of the Rangen. Actually, the title is Pananadem. It's a story of the Marawi seeds and the marshalo, all the seeds that happened during marshalo, intertwined to this 8th chapter of the Rangen. The story of the kingdom that showers with gold, drips with gold, Taraktakan sa Uray. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam rahmatullah. Thank you all, Patty,
We have to
Vivian,
have a
Jerome.
photo. Let's have a photo, everyone.
Okay, do a photo.
Yeah, I'll stop going live now on Facebook. So thank you folks for joining us there. And then for those on Zoom, if you're comfortable sharing your